In an age before smartphones, satellites, and instant communication, messages traveled slower, sometimes through letters, sometimes through fate, and occasionally through forces far beyond human control. This is the story of one man, a single glass bottle, and a message that would drift across oceans and time before finally finding its way to someone who would answer it. A message meant not for an immediate reply, but for whoever destiny chose half a century later. It began in 1969 when a young sailor named Paul Gilmer set out on a journey across the Pacific Ocean aboard a naval vessel. The sea was calm, the horizon endless, and like many travelers before him, Paul felt a strange mix of adventure and isolation. With nothing but open water surrounding him for thousands of miles, he decided to send a message, not a cry for help, nor a farewell, but a simple note sealed in a glass bottle. Inside he wrote his name, his ship, and a request. Please write back. Then with a small splash and no expectations, he released it into the ocean, where it began its silent journey. Year after year, the bottle drifted. It rode waves, storms, and currents that carried it further than Paul could ever have imagined. Decades passed, the world changed, technology transformed communication. The man who sent the message grew older, settled into life, and eventually forgot about the bottle entirely. But the ocean didn't forget. It carried that bottle with patient persistence through storms and calm tides until, eventually, almost 50 years later, it washed ashore on a remote beach in Australia. There, a curious teenager named Kai Robinson discovered it while walking along the coastline. The bottle was weathered, its paper yellowed and fragile, yet still readable. What Kyle held in his hands was not just a message, it was time itself. A moment frozen from a word long gone. The boy and his family searched for the author, unsure if he was even still alive. But remarkably, they found him. Paul, now decades older, was shocked. Something he released into the unknown in his youth had finally come back, not lost, but answered. When Kai sent a reply, it was more than just communication. It was a connection between generations, between past and present, between a man who once wondered if his message would matter and someone who proved that it did. And when Paul read the response, he said it felt as if time folded in on itself, like a forgotten part of his life had suddenly reopened. The story reminds us that not all messages are meant to be answered immediately. Some are meant to travel, to drift, to wait until the right person finds them. The ocean carried that bottle further than any map or intention could predict, and when it finally reached someone, it carried with it a sense of wonder, curiosity, and a connection that modern communication can deliver. So next time you think about how fast messages travel today, instantly, effortlessly, remember the sailor who sent his words through the sea, a message without a destination, carried by waves.